Cut my music, cut my music. We are live. We are live, and I don't know what's going on. I have absolutely no idea what is going on. Now, that is not a good sign. When the host of the show opens up and says, I have no idea what's going on, everybody in the chat room is saying, then why are we here? That's a good question. That's a good question. Why are you watching college football, the Rebel Outpost College Football Show, with a host that is a complete idiot, that doesn't understand anything that is going on? Why are you here? That's the question. That's on you. That's not on me. I have no idea what's going on. I'm going to need help. I'm sending out an SOS to the world. You don't want me to sing today. I'm already, I don't know what's going on. No idea. Crab cakes and football. On vacation, but chiming in to say, hi, Greg, enjoy the show. Roller coasters to ride with my 10-year-old. I hope you and your 10-year-old have a fun time riding the roller coaster. Crab cakes and football. Thanks for checking on in. You should try the roller coaster in this studio. That's the roller coaster I don't think you can survive. Oh no, unholy matrimony. We're going to be going through real quick here. John Wilner's article in the Mercury News. Published today, an unholy matrimony between the Big 12 and the ACC. Okay, let's... Greg doesn't hide from the L's. Greg, I think your water bills just do 11 p.m. in England, and it's PATC time. Go Terps. Thanks for joining us, Thomas Hickman, all the way in England. I got a nephew that's in Barcelona Barcelona, Spain right now on business. He's going to be there for a month. Opie is here. I don't know what's going on, guys. I'm going to need help. I'm going to need the lawyers to call in. I don't know what's going on. This was Matt Baker's post earlier. The ACC says in its latest court filing in North Carolina, I can't even find this, to be honest with you. The employees at Clemson told a process server they were instructed not to accept anything this week, as the ACC tried to serve its complaint to Clemson. I, as usual, am not smart enough to know if that matters, but found it interesting. Well, I got a story to tell you about Clemson's difficulty in serving the ACC on March 19th. I'm going to be reading that story. I'm not going to show you. I'm not going to provide the link. I'm not going to provide the picture of it, a photo of it, because there's an addresses in there. But I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it to you. So I don't know what's going on. Both parties are having a hard time serving each other. And I'm not a lawyer. As I said, I'm not the brightest bulb in the refrigerator, but I know exactly where every refrigerator is in any location, in any establishment that I walk into. So we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. We're going to wait a little bit here. We're going to go through the John Wilner article first on the unholy matrimony between the ACC and the Big 12. And then we're going to get into this. And then I'm also going to get into the clarification of last night's show that we dropped for all the members here. We dropped it in a Cloak and Dagger early peak episode this morning. We're going to let everybody in on a little bit of nugget, Cloak and Dagger nugget. We're going to get into the UNC policy guide and what has to happen for litigation. We're not going to spend much time on it because we got to get into this mystery. Every day there's another, I don't know, man. I don't know. First of all, let me thank everybody that's come on in at the beginning of the show. Jared Jones, Mr. Buckeye, Hidden H Music, Capusta is in the house. Randy Taylor, Cloak and Dagger, Kyle Visser, Bruce Harris, Boomer, Preston from Greensboro, Nick Boardman, JD Turtle, Bill G, Ryan Brooks, LSU, Stephen Clark, CFB Plus, the Buckshot Kid, Jamie Thornton. Honesty is the best policy. I have no idea what's going on. Joaquin Morales. Smash that like button. I didn't even go through that, did I? This is College Football, Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything because we love everything in college football. If you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. If you want to support this show through a donation, hit the $sign, put it in a comment, and I'll get to you super chat as quick as I can. Welcome into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid to be a legend. In the chat room and with your phone calls later in the show, especially this show, where I'm going to need everybody's help. Connecticut fan is in the house. Congo, Mike Williams. Mr. Monkey says, Expedition Greg. Laura Weiss, Red Raider, your quarterback. Mr. Morton. Mr. Morton still trying to recover from that soldier injury, shoulder injury, I believe. There was a report out there today. You've got 3 other guys battling for the quarterback 2 position. Just means that those 3 guys are going to get a whole more reps here during the spring. So we'll see what happens there. TP's in the house. Richard L. J. Go Blue. 2 Master. Charlie Atwood, the Big Lubbock. Sergeant Schultz. I see nothing. I know nothing. Skaven, yes, is in the house. Matthew Farmer. Okay, let's get to it, guys. First of all, we're going to go through the John Wilner's article. We're going to go through it quick because I need your help. The almighty Finn's in here. What's up, Craig? What is up is I don't know what's going on. Don't know what's going on. But we're going to try to figure it out during this live show. But we're going to get through this article first. John Wilner on college football. New CFP revenue model puts the Big 12 on equal footing with the ACC when they are, in fact, very different. I think Wilner's taking a little bit of a shot at the Big 12 here. I think he's taking a little bit of a shot at the Big 12. The ACC has bigger football brands and more playoff success, but the Big 12 just got a little bit of less of the playoff dollars than the ACC within the playoff distribution model. It's been 2 weeks since college football playoff formalized a new contract with ESPN and created a revenue model that declares with no pretense or shame that the Big Ten and the SEC are better than everyone else. We do provide a link in the description below the video. You can read the whole article. We don't quite go through the whole article. No matter how many teams from each conference qualify for the playoff in a given year, no matter where they're seated or how they perform, the Big Ten and the SEC will receive hundreds of millions of dollars more annually than the Big 12 and the ACC. Nothing new there. That, folks, is March Madness. The Big Two conferences are expected to collect 59% of the $1.3 billion. Meanwhile, the revenue model assigns second-class cash to the Big 12 and the ACC, which are set to receive 32% of the total revenue each year. There's other details we don't know. They're undetermined at large spots. In a sport that traditionally treat its power conferences as equals, the change in revenue distribution is unprecedented. The first visible evidence of the great split, with the Big Ten and the SEC consolidating authority following the latest realignment wave. But as the process plays out in surreal time, a second dynamic, a far less tectonic in nature but equally fascinating, is unfolding. The CFP contract negotiations have cast the Big 12 and the ACC as necessary partners, the strangest of bedfellows. Aside from the outside role basketball plays in their cultures, the two leagues cannot be more different. Yet they have been forced to grab the hind legs of the CFP cash cow and hold on together for dear life. The ACC is based in the Eastern Seaboard with a slew of small private schools and some of the nation's academic powerhouses. The Big 12 is loaded with massive universities and centered in the Southern Plains. The commissioners are different too. The ACC stately Jim Phillips has spent a lifetime in college sports, while the Big 12's hard-charging dealmaker Brett Yormark is a relative newcomer to the space. The conferences are also dissimilar in the valuation levels of their football programs. Where the SEC and the Big Ten hold on an expansion draft, the top 4 picks would come from the ACC. None of them from the Big 12, according to John Wilner. If the Big 10 and the SEC held an expansion draft, the top 4 would come from the ACC. North Carolina would be the first off the board. It's the Cadillac Clark of realignment, followed by the combination of Virginia, Florida State, and Clemson. Heck, Miami might even give the ACC a clean sweep of the top 5 selections. In that regard, the revenue distribution within the CFP's new contract doesn't reflect the competitive stature of the 2 leagues. Wilner is arguing here that ACC should have gotten a lot more than the Big 12. The model is based in part of CFP participation over the last 10 years, using schools in the new conferences, which makes sense. What doesn't make sense is the Big 12 ended up with an annual revenue share of approximately 15% of the ESPN deal, while the ACC is collecting 17%. The difference in percentage is slight. The difference in performance is substantial. Again, Wilner believes the ACC should have come out far, far ahead of the Big 12. After all, the new ACC can claim 7 playoff appearances to date, thanks to Clemson 6 and Florida State 1. But the new Big 12 has just 2 CFP appearances to its name, courtesy of Cincinnati and TCU. 7 is a lot more than 2. Just as Clemson and Florida State and North Carolina are a lot more valuable than any program in the Big 12, yet the revenue shares are essentially equal. Step back and examine the full CFP canvas, and the Big 12's share looks even better relative to the other conferences. The number of participants over the first decade of the playoff based on new conference configurations: SEC 17, Big 10 12, ACC 7, and Big 12 2. Notre Dame also has 2. The revenue model based entirely on CFP participation wasn't based entirely on the CFP participation, but that was a central component. And the Big 12 isn't close to the ACC in that benchmark, much less within range of the SEC and the Big 10. To that end, it appears Yormark negotiated, definitely securing a higher percentage than his conference deserved. Granted, this all could change sooner rather than later. If the most valuable football brands depart the ACC, a new playoff structure could arise. And it's not difficult to envision several schools seeking refuge in the Big 12, prompting the strangest of bedfellows to join the unholy matrimony. So that is the quick review. I do see action in the chat room. Let me get to it here. It looks like we're going to have to abort once again. Hold on, everybody. Once again, we got to call an audible. Okay, let's get to it. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Man, we got so much to go through. I can't even... I'm changing the new title of this show. Okay, here we go. Breaking news, breaking news. Breaking news, breaking news. Breaking news, breaking news. Thus far, the group is struggling to gain traction with the schools. We're going to read the article. When I first saw this in the chat, I was looking to see if there was any Big Ten or SEC presidents supporting this in public. Man, we got a lot to get to. Holy smokes. I'm checking a few messages here. Hold on, everybody. Donnie McNerney, thank you for the Cloak and Dagger membership. 4 months. Holy smokes. Thank you for your continued generosity to us. You are hereby Cloak and Dagger knighted once again. Thank you, Donnie. I do appreciate it so very much. Okay, we've got breaking news. We're going to get through it here because we've got a lot of other things to get to. Let me pop this up so it's bigger. I don't think, well, anyways, let's just read it. Inside Andrew Michon and Stuart Mandel, April 3rd, 2024, breaking news. Inside the College Football Super League, one powerful group's idea to fix a doomed system. One league overseeing college football's highest level. No more conferences as we know them. That ain't going to happen. Not now. Playoff bursts being decided solely on the field. Promotion and regulation for smaller schools. That's not going to happen. Players being paid directly. That's going to happen. NIL and the transfer portal managed. A group of influential leaders wants to make all this happen soon, and they are pitching it as the best way forward for a sport they believe needs saving. Several college presidents, Roger Goodell's primary lieutenant at the NFL, and some of the sport's top executives have devised a plan, dubbed by outsiders as a super league, to completely transform college football. Those involved in the group, College Sports Tomorrow, told The Athletic, although the plan has drawn skepticism from within the sport's current institutions, the people behind the idea believe they must be implemented. I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to go pear-shaped. The current model for governing and managing college athletics is dead, Syracuse Chancellor Kent Syverud told The Athletic during an interview. West Virginia's President Gordon Gee added, "We are in an existential crisis." Those two presidents are part of a 20-person group, which also includes NFL's number 2 executive Brian Rolapp, of Philadelphia 76ers owner David Blitzer, lead organization Len Perma of Turnkey ZRZ, the search firm that places nearly all the top conference commissioners, including recently the Big Ten's Tony Petita. They're trying to implement a drastically new system that would replace the NCAA in the college football playoff. Not going to happen. Not anytime soon. And potentially provide a solution for the hurricane of current and future lawsuits aimed at the business of the sport. Plus the NIL and the transfer portal issues they believe have put college athletics as a whole in peril. The current CST outline would create a system that would have the top 70 programs, all members of the five former major conferences, plus Notre Dame, and new ACC member SMU as permanent members, and encompass all 130 plus FBS universities. The perpetual members would be in 7 10-team divisions. Not happening. Joined by an 8th division of teams that would promote from the second tier. The 50 plus second division teams would have the opportunity to compete their way into the upper division. Not happening. Creating a promotion system similar to the structure in European football leagues. The 70 permanent teams would never be in danger of moving down, while the second division would have the incentive of promotion and regulation. The playoffs would not require a selection committee, as the 8 division winners and 8 wild cards from the top tier would go to postseason. The wild card spots would be determined by record and tiebreakers, much like the NFL. The CST borrows ideas from the leagues like NFL, Premier League, and MLS to create a system they would believe would bring in more television value and sustainability. Not coincidentally, some of its most influential members have direct ties to those leagues. Thus far, the group is struggling to gain traction with the schools that would play in their proposed Super League. The ACC Board of Directors heard a presentation from the group in February. However, planned dinners with administrators from the Big Ten, the SEC, and Big 12 are all called off. Big Ten and the SEC have not. This is going nowhere, guys. I'm not going to read any more of this. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the link in the description box. And we are going to go ahead and continue on with the show as planned. Okay. Now, I'm sorry, guys. That's not happening. None of that is happening. None of that is happening. I'm sorry, guys. A fun idea in some ways. It's just, and it says in the article, it did not gain traction. It just isn't happening. I gotta shoot. You're not gonna have. Oh God, there's so many things wrong with that. It's not happening. That is complete fantasy land. You're not going to have, what was it? Seven divisions of 10 teams. Okay, we're going on here. Okay, so before we get into the courts here, what is going on in the courts? We did we dropped a Cloak and Dagger early peak members only episode this morning. We know the following. There was a body at North Carolina Chapel Hill that asked another body at the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill to try to figure out a roadmap in what do they need to do to file litigation to sue the ACC. This just happened recently. It was more of, if we do get the approval from the Board of Governors to sue, do we need to have everything else in place? Do we need to have a financial plan? For if we're gonna go through this, and the motive is to have a choice of changing our conference affiliation, do we need to do the whole other parts to this? Not just get approval to file suit, but to get the to get a financial plan in order? Does it all have to be done? If we decide to go that route. This is the UNC policy manual. Now, for those members who watch this, we already went through this. But then again, I wanted to talk about it here in public. I wanted to talk about it in the live show. The UNC policy manual. University of North Carolina, not just the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, but constituent institutions means one of the 17-degree diploma granting institutions that comprise the University of North Carolina. This policy manual was amended in 1/25, 2024. Okay? That was amended January 25, 2024. Just a couple months ago. We're looking at A. By virtue of G7 116-3, the capacity and authority to initiate litigation, as well as to settle potential and pending litigation in the name of the university and on behalf of the constituent and affiliated institutions, lies exclusively with the Board of Governors. A constituent and affiliated institution like the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, the Tar Heels, has no independent capacity or authority to initiate litigation or to settle potential or pending litigation in its own name or in the name of the University of North Carolina. So, the Board of Governors, the 24 members, which there's a whole lot of, North Carolina State has a lot of political power among the Board of Governors, including the current chair of the Board of Governors. They're gonna be the ones that has the ultimate authority decision to pull the trigger if North Carolina files a lawsuit against the ACC. And we do know that North Carolina Chapel Hill wants a roadmap of how this would happen, talk to the Board of Governors, be under closed session. But what else do they need to do? Do they need to be all ready for that financial plan? People are asking questions. We wanted to clarify it here. The Board of Governors are going to be wrapped up in this tightly. And what does that mean for North Carolina State? Does North Carolina State, if North Carolina files a lawsuit, if the Board of Governors approve it, does that mean North Carolina State is also going to be involved in the lawsuit together? North Carolina State, we do not know. We do not know. But I just wanted to give you a peek around the corner that people are wondering about a roadmap. I think people are talking about it. There's nothing imminent for North Carolina to file. At least we don't think so. But anyways, I just wanted to put that out there. We put it on a Cloak and Dagger early peak episode this morning. Now, I'm going to read you once again this Matt Baker post of earlier today. The ACC says in its latest court filing the ACC says in its latest court filing in North Carolina, employees at Clemson told a process server, so ACC is trying to serve them, Clemson told a process server they were instructed not to accept anything this week as the ACC tried to serve its complaint to Clemson. I, as usual, am not smart enough to know if that matters, but found it interesting. Now, I'm going to read you something here. Now that, I'm going to leave that up on the screen. Okay? The ACC having difficulty serving Clemson. Now I'm going to read you what is, and I cannot show you this on your screen. And I'm not even going to provide a link, although I may in the future, I don't know. But trust me, this is part of some documents here. The reason I'm not showing it up on the screen is because there's addresses and other stuff involved. Okay? So I'm not going to show it. I'm going to read it to you. This is Clemson trying to serve North Carolina. The Atlantic Coast Conference. This is Clemson trying to serve the Atlantic Coast Conference on March 19th. I'm going to read it to you. Unsuccessful attempt. March 19th, 12:18 p.m. Eastern Time. This is Clemson. Spoke to the security desk at the ACC office. They called up to the Atlantic Coast Conference office, the security desk. And I was told that everyone was in a meeting and come back later. Unsuccessful attempt number 2. This was an hour and 18 minutes later at 1:36 p.m. And I'm not even going to give the address, but where the Atlantic Coast Conference office is. Again, the security desk called up to Atlantic Coast Conference office, and this person is trying to serve the ACC on March 19th. I was told the one person that could accept service was gone for the day, and I would need to come back tomorrow. This process server says, previously, I had served the ACC without incident by arriving at headquarters, indicating I had papers for the Atlantic Coast Conference, and a person was sent down to collect those. And I would note their name and title, and the service was thereby accomplished. This time, March 19th, so far 2 times. This time, when I tried the exact same approach at the ACC headquarters, I was told that everyone was in the meetings, but to come a short while later. When I came back, I was then told that no one was there to accept this service. We're not done. We're not done. Hold on. We've only just begun. We have only just begun. Unsuccessful Attempt number 3. This is a secure neighborhood. I first called J. Phillips through the call box. So this is a different address, obviously. This is at 5:13 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a secure neighborhood. I first called J. Phillips through the call box. There was no answer. I then called L. Phillips. A female answered and then opened the gate. I arrived, but no one answered the door. A female answered, then opened the gate. I arrived, but no one answered the door. There were 2 SUVs in the driveway. I returned at 5:19 p.m. I went back to the door, but there was no answer at the door. I returned at 6:20 p.m., an hour later. When I called L. Phillips, no one answered, but someone did open the gate. I went to the residence, but no one came to the door. I spoke to a female through the Ring doorbell. She stated no one was home. The vehicles were still in the driveway. Successful attempt. At 7:44 p.m., received by a gentleman, Benjamin Tario, Tario. Hold on. At 7:21 p.m., 7:21, an hour after the last time no one came to the door, no one opened the gate. 7:21 p.m., spoke to an older female that stated that Benjamin Tario was not there at 7:21 and would be back shortly. I returned at 7:39. No one answered the door. I could see the older female in the residence. I returned at 7:44 and served Benjamin Tario, the deputy commissioner with the Atlantic Coast Conference. He had arrived in a dark colored truck and met me in the driveway where he identified himself and accepted the documents. So I just, the ACC was not, they didn't, maybe that happens. Now, this server said he had served ACC without incidents before by arriving to the headquarters, indicating he had papers for the Atlantic Coast Conference. A person would be sent down and collect those documents, and I would note their name and title, service, where the service was thereby accomplished. This time, not so much. If you put that in context, with this post, the ACC says in its latest court filing that the employees at Clemson told a process server, so the other way, that they were instructed not to accept anything this week as the ACC tried to serve its complaint to Clemson. So I don't know. Now, I don't look. Now, before I open up the phone lines, we had mentioned that Clemson was waiting for something to happen. They wanted to file something, a response in Mecklenburg County. And that was quite a while ago. We have been told that there was an affidavit of service filed today. So Clemson now has the runway to make an appearance to do something in Mecklenburg County. So that took a while. Anyways, I just wanted to put that out there. I'm going to go and open up the phone lines. And you all let me know what you're thinking. Or explain it to me better than I've explained it. Phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. If you want to talk about this Super League that we quickly talked about, that's not going to happen. But go ahead, give us a call. Give us a call. Talk about anything you want.
Call from
Immaculate.
Immaculate, the floor is yours. What's going on, sir?
Well, I just thought I'd call in on this. Man, I know what you were reading off, and I was having a good laugh while you were doing it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I know all about that. Oh, man. Yeah, they tried to serve his personal residence.
Yes.
His wife probably didn't know the whole situation.
Yes.
Was like, yeah, sure, no problem. Come on in. I know how those gates work. And then someone inside's like, oh, who's coming, honey?
Yeah.
Oh, just a process server. No, do not answer that door at all.
Yeah.
That was I can visualize anything. So those vehicles, their license plates were probably ran.
Yeah.
And don't know. I mean, they can say, oh, we have this other vehicle, we weren't there. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's nothing criminal or like illegal. It's just clearly, I mean, she didn't know what she was doing when she let him in. So yeah, and to some people who might think you can just serve any employee, no, you cannot. Yeah, there's very particular people who are filed with whether they have like a corporate commission in that state or whatnot that are listed as auto serves to serve. Anyone else would have to say, yes, I am capable of accepting this paperwork. So when they go in there and everyone's saying, nope, I can't take it, that's a real thing. So it is really interesting to see it play out to where they're telling their employees, and whoever the employee was that said, oh no, we were told not to accept it for the week, they're probably going to get a talking to, because they probably shouldn't have said that. They should have just said, no, I can't accept. Because any type of detail like that can get used. But yeah, it's. I don't know exactly what to make of it, Greg.
Yeah.
Almost kind of like there's, because to be served, it means it's already been filed. It's the only thing that really would hold up is kind of the postings of what you're saying, like by not being served, the filing. I don't know if it's been posted or not, but the court may not post that until they get affirmation that the party has been served. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because that's like informing the public before you inform the party being sued. That probably wouldn't happen. So I don't know too much going on, and I know, as Ryan Thomas said, you can't avoid service. There are other alternative means of service. They can go through the court. They can get the ability to post on the door, and once that happens, that's done. But that takes a little bit of time. I would assume it's going to take longer than a week. So probably just gonna they'll get that process started, but they will try to go back in a week serve. Any other ones I know of, I mean, like there's certified mailing, but you have to accept that. I mean, they're going to be looking at who's it from. Nope, we're not accepting that type of a situation. And posting and publication takes weeks, not more than a month, depending upon your state. So there's really, if we're talking about such a short period of time, it's almost kind of in your face. There's not much you can do about this within a week's amount of time. There's just not. So if they accept service next week, I would be curious as to why. I don't know exactly what that holds up, other than maybe a public posting of the filing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's petty. But yeah, what's up?
Can I just want to show a video here. I haven't heard it. Jamie sent it to me. This is Dabble Sweeney getting asked about the Clemson suing the ACC. It's just 30 seconds long. Can I just quickly play it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go. I just wanted your okay on it. Hold on.
Clemson University sued the ACC. I was wondering, do you have any comment on the lawsuit on the matter?
No. Obviously, I appreciate your question. No, that's going to be a question to come, but man, that's so far out of my lane. That's PresidentClements.com and GrahamNeff.com. At AOL.com. However you want to get in touch with them. At Clemson.edu. They can answer all them questions.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to play that. He has no comment, of course, to make on that. Go ahead, Immaculate. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so I just want to say to folks that does seem like some gamesmanship is being played. What you were reading off was them trying to serve the ACC, and that they were maybe holding off on that. So Clemson, in response, is probably telling their people don't accept service. It just kind of seems like a little back and forth. They're both trying to get their response to each other's lawsuit finished up first, probably so that it goes public first.
Mm-hmm.
How important that is, I couldn't tell you. I don't know if you could tell us either, but it kind of seems like they're fighting for that. They're fighting to see who gets theirs out first. So,
yeah.
But in terms of that other article, I had it right in front of me. I looked through it real quick and realized, to me, it looks like business perspectives, business people, corporate, whomever, likes this idea.
Yeah.
They like that idea. And there might be a few schools who think, if we get into that, we put some distance between ourselves and, maybe some other upcoming schools. I'm not sure. But it does not sound like it has wide acclaim. I mean, they listed the West Virginia president in there as having a comment, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he's saying he's for this. And the Big 12 certainly isn't for it. So it kind of sounds like the ACC is looking for something, maybe some of those schools are a little worried, right? I mean,
yeah.
All this talk about being picked apart. So,
yeah.
Hey, if we get into this, we don't have to worry anymore. Even if we fall down to the bottom, we still get all paid the same, because people need to realize that in a relegation system, whether you're in the bottom or the top, you're getting paid the same. Otherwise, none of these schools are agreeing to it.
Yeah.
They're not going to put themselves at risk because they have a team built up with a coach or whatever, and then the coach leaves, and then the team all leaves out of the transfer portal, and then you lose, and then you get relegated down, and then you make less money. Like the business reality of this for these schools is terrible. The fact that they put relegation in there, that alone probably made those conferences say no.
It did say that the top 70 schools would never be relegated. It did say that in there.
So out of 80 schools, only 10 can get relegated. Where is there to be relegated to?
Yeah, it doesn't even. It's
doesn't really make sense.
The whole thing is just ridiculous. It's
yeah.
And then the other conferences shut it down. They're not even taking a meet. Of course, I mean, the moment I started reading that, I was like, it's. I'm willing to take phone calls and if people like it and all that, but it just isn't going to happen.
No,
that's all.
There's all those details. I think I've done up on it, but all those details listed are, fans might like this idea, but if you're a budgeter, if you're an administrator, and you're trying to keep things, you're looking at that going, no way. I mean, it's not predictable. So I just wanted to call in on the legal stuff and let you know that was, if people were wondering what you were reading off, that was public server, what they were going through. And those are probably not fun to read.
Yeah. Maybe that's an indication that, I don't know. I shouldn't say anything, but okay.
Yeah. I'll let you go.
All right.
You got guys lining up now, but I just want to put that in there.
Appreciate the phone call, sir.
Cool. Yep. Talk to you later.
You bet. Ryan Willie, thank you so much, Evil Badger. Thank you so much. 4 months, 4-month member. Holy smokes. 4-month member, being an early P Cloak and Dagger member of our show. And again, we dropped one, episode 31 today, this morning. So giving you the little bit of nugget of information on what's going on inside the halls of North Carolina when it comes to the Board of Governors. We covered it also on this live show, but you always get it first, or mostly always get it first on our episode, membership episode. So if you're interested in becoming a member, go to the link provided in the description box, hit the link, then hit the join button and become Cloak and Dagger Early Peak member. Whoops. Yeah, that Super League, I mean, yeah. And I'm not going to comment on genetics. I was, people send me all this kind of stuff. And once in a while, I will comment on it. But even the idea give us a call back. The phone was not hung up. Give us a call back, whoever was calling. Just the idea of a football-only conference that some people out there are a Super League football-only. First of all, the Big Ten has no interest in a football-only conference. None. Zero. Zip. Nada. And if you're somebody who reports themselves, who explains themselves on Twitter that you are actually in some of these athletic director meetings, and then you go on and say the Super League Big Ten only football conference, Big Ten has zero interest in that. It's just some bizarre stuff. Some wasted time in that article. Roger Dodger. Yeah, it's anyways, whoever was trying to give us a call us back. There we go, Thomas.
Call from
Ryan Thomas.
Ryan Thomas, I do apologize. I do apologize. But anyways, I appreciate that you called. The floor is yours. Explain to me what the heck is going on.
I can't, Greg.
Okay.
I can't. And
first of all, can I just I have two super chats. I'm gonna get to them first because I want you to have the floor here.
Super chats first. They're the lifeblood. So go ahead.
Yes, Ryan Willie, the Eva Badger. Again, thank you for your membership. Expedition Greg, when do you expect a written ruling from Mecklenburg County judge on the ACC lawsuit with Florida State? The hearing in Leon County is days away. It's got to happen Thursday, it's got to happen Friday, or it's got to happen Monday within the next 3 days. Yep. And I would put my money on Thursday or Friday. I've heard some people say Friday. It seems to be the day where the judge likes to make a ruling, announce it all and everything. So I don't know, Expedition Greg. One of those 3 days, I got my money on Friday, but we shall see. It might happen tomorrow. Keep your head on a swivel. We're going to be going live when it happens. Ryan Thomas, thanks again. Thank you, Expedition Greg, for your super chat, your generosity once again to the channel. Ryan Thomas, thank you, sir. Floor is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, I do have a question. Has ESPN delivered the full documents the judge wanted? I know that they gave him 13 pages, but I mean, has ESPN complied with giving the judge the whole thing?
I don't know. I bet they have. Come on. The judge is going to make a ruling here.
Yeah, I mean, there's the delay, but I mean, one thing I do know is judges get really mad when you play games with them. I mean, that just doesn't go over well. I would think that ESPN's legal counsel, their outside legal counsel, which probably definitely litigates. I'm sure they understand that, but it's crazy. It's going to be pretty entertaining when this all comes down, Greg. As far as our friend Mr. Wilner, Mr. Clueless, the guy is sort of like a beta videotape player. And for those of you that aren't old enough to realize that was like before VCR and was even more antiquated. And I mean, it's crazy. I think you already made my point on Super Leagues, and I've called in on this before, Greg. In order for that to happen, it really requires the big conferences to basically leave a comfort zone that I don't think their presidents would support. Whether that's
there is so much wrong with what. First of all, 10-team divisions. That's never gonna. We're not going. That's not happening. It's not even happening in the Big Ten. The Big Ten athletic directors don't even want 5-team divisions right now. There's so much. Yeah. That's just one. There's so many things that.
Well, I mean, the money would have to be so astronomically huge that they couldn't say no, and it's not at that point. It's not in that type of market.
No.
I mean, could it be something that happens 10 years down the road, or in the 2030s? Maybe, I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, I could be a billionaire in 10 years, but or I could be living on the street. I don't know. So I mean, get back to me later with that. But it's sort of it's sort of crazy to think about that. And like I said, we're going to be at P2.5. I don't think, I think it's crazy. The SEC, first of all, there can't only be 2 relevant teams in the center of the country, and basically you can't have 6 relevant teams west of the Mississippi. That's just not going to work in college football. And it's just never going to work. And I think this whole talk is kind of it's speculation season, Greg. I think what you'll see happen is eventually things will realign, but I think right now that the more likely reality is the Power 2.5, and what I mean by that is just the Big Ten and the SEC are there, and then the Big 12 is basically halfway there, but they're at the table. I think the real concern in the long run is what this is going to do to the G5, because the pressure is going to be on these conferences to go to 9 or even possibly 10 games. I guarantee you, if the SEC expands and decides to make use of that pro rata clause from ESPN, I guarantee you that the consideration that ESPN gets for that is going to be going to 9 conference games.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And if that's the case, as Immaculate and Moen have pointed out, it's not necessary for the SEC. It's not necessarily about football value. They already have the football value. It's about geographic monopoly, and essentially, if they have to go to 9 games and they get rid of, that means they have to get rid of those cupcake games in mid-November. That means Austin Peay and others are sort of out of luck. Well, like I said before, Duke and UVA are pretty good at easy wins for Alabama. But who knows? It could change. But I think it's sort of crazy to see. I really don't know. So much of this, Greg, depends on timing. It depends on what happens when and where. I mean, if things happen just right, the ACC may only have just a few defections, and it might just continue on, and it'll be impaired, and it will probably fall below the big, or fall below, the Big 12 if it loses. Definitely, if it loses Clemson and FSU, it's going to suffer a value hit, but or it could be that you could have a group. If you remember what the Big East did several years ago, Greg, when they broke off for basketball and other sports from the AAC. I mean, you could see something similar to that. The Catholic 7, and you could have the Academic 8 or something like that, and the ACC break off and do their own thing. I think it depends, or it could just be a complete free for all. But so much of this depends on timing. It depends on what happens with the ruling in Mecklenburg County, and then subsequently what happens in other trials and who sues
when. A lot
when.
of variables. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy, but I do want to point out to people one thing, and I've said this before to you on Twitter, Greg, and I'll end with this. I know people are going to assume that the Board of Governors in North Carolina are going to eternally keep UNC and North Carolina State bound together. They do have a fiduciary duty, and I can tell you this: an ACC, 2 teams in an ACC without Clemson and FSU, basically impaired ACC TV value. That is going to be less money than one team being in either the Big Ten or the SEC, and one team being in the Big 12. Period. And, they will have some sort of revenue sharing arrangement if there's a difference. Likely there probably won't be, because, whoever goes into the SEC will probably be going at a discount. But, I mean, at the end of the day, they will have their North Carolina alimony, or whatever you want to call it, NC State alimony, or whatever you want to call it, and they'll move on. I think that, this is a good threat by legislatures and politicians to make themselves feel good, but at the end of the day, people look at numbers and what's in the best interest long term, and I can tell you, being crabs in a bucket does not work. Yeah. Anyway, great show, Greg. Keep up the good work, my friend.
Appreciate it.
Just remember, genetics has extra chromosomes. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the call. David Hackett is saying that 247 Sports is stating that a UNC lawsuit will have to include North Carolina State, according to the NC Board of Governors. David Hackett, I have not seen that reporting. So if somebody out there has a link, if 247 said this, please send it my way. I have not seen it, though. I haven't seen anything of that nature from 247 Sports. there was also a little bit of news here. State of Virginia. The Virginia House, Mitt Winter, a great follow on X. The Virginia House and the Senate passed a bill that would amend the state's NIL law. It was sent to the governor for signature last week with an April 8 action deadline. Significantly, it will allow schools to directly pay NIL compensation to athletes starting November 15th, 2024. So more momentum towards direct payment in direct pay under the NIL umbrella. But, schools are going to be directly paying NIL to compensate athletes. We're getting closer and closer to direct payments from the schools to the student athletes. Yeah, we talked about it earlier. We talked about it in our episode. The UNC policy manual was amended January 25th, 2024. Okay? And basically, if you look at number 8, under point 4, initiating and settling potential and pending litigation, by virtue of GS 116-3, the capacity and authority to initiate litigation as well as to settle potential and pending litigation in the name of the university and on behalf of the constituent and affiliated institutions lies exclusively with the Board of Governors. A constituent and affiliated institution like the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill Tar Heels has no independent capacity or authority to initiate litigation or to settle potential or pending litigation in its own name or in the name of the University of North Carolina. So if UNC, North Carolina, Chapel Hill wants to initiate litigation, well, it's going to go through the Board of Governors. The question that's being asked, if they do go to the Board of Governors, if this is what they want to happen, there's a couple questions. One, do they need to do the rest of the stuff? Do they need to get a financial plan? Or in regards to potentially changing their conference affiliation? But the bigger question probably is if North Carolina, Chapel Hill goes to the Board of Governors, and they're talking to the Board of Governors and saying, we want to file a lawsuit. The Board of Governors, up and down the line, there's 24 members. They're the ones that have the authority to initiate litigation. They're the ones that have the authority to settle on a pending settlement. If that ever happens, if North Carolina decides to fire the shot to sue the ACC, the Board of Governors would have to initiate it, have to give approval. Does North Carolina State automatically get included in that lawsuit? Is it going to be a dual lawsuit? I don't know. We don't have the answers here at Peek Around the Corner. Now, somebody in the chat said that 247 reported that North Carolina State would have to be included. We haven't seen any reporting on that. Again, just more evidence. North Carolina and North Carolina State are not tied to the hip, but man, they're almost tied to the hip. There's a loose rope around both of them. Yes, technically, well, not Sheep and Wolves Clothing asked the Board of Governors or the UNC system president, correct? That has to do with the approval of going forward, the approving of a financial plan to change conference affiliation. But in respect to initiating litigation, it was the Board of Governors that has the exclusive capacity to do that. The question that was asked, and we broke this, we reported this yesterday in the live show. We got more clarification. We explained it this morning in an early P Cloak and Dagger episode. We're now explaining it again in the live show. The question that is being asked at North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and we got the receipts, is they're trying to figure out the roadmap just in case they file something. They want to know what the Board of Governors, they want to have this figured out to where we file a lawsuit, and do we need everything else done as well? Do we need that financial plan? How could we possibly have a financial plan if we haven't had serious talks with other conferences? That probably gets pushed off. There's communication between two different bodies at North Carolina, Chapel Hill, in regards to all this. None of this communication was to the Board of Governors, but obviously it has to go to the Board of Governors. So there's a lot we don't know, but we do know there's communication going back and forth. We got the receipts. You're welcome. You're welcome. Let me check out here. Hold on. I just want to check on something real quick. And then we haven't even talked about the Fox Sports with their basketball tournament starting next year. The teams that don't qualify for the NCAA tourney, they're going to invite 16 teams for a tournament. Teams that don't get invited to the NCAA tournament, 16 of them. 2 automatic berths. Here we go with the automatic berths. 2 automatic berths to the Big Ten. 2 automatic berths to the Big 12. 2 automatic berths in the Big East. All 3 conferences that have Fox Sports is their media partner when it comes to basketball. So 6 out of the 16 teams in this tournament, 6 of them are going to have automatic berths into it. Now, my question is, will these student athletes get paid to go to this tournament? Is that how they're going to get teams to go to this tournament? I don't know. I'm just bringing that up. Bill Conley on the news of the Super League. Bill Conley. I know something like this might be truly necessarily at some point, but when I see Gordon Gee yelling existential crisis, I immediately checked out. I checked out on that real early. I won't say anything. I'll be nice to Gordon Lee. I will be nice to Gordon Lee. Again, I'm just gonna go over this real quick. The phone is off the hook. I want to go through this real quick here. Matt Baker posts this afternoon how the ACC says in its latest court filing, North Carolina employees at Clemson. The court filing in North Carolina. In its latest court filing in North Carolina. Employees at Clemson told a process server they were instructed not to accept anything this week as the ACC tried to serve its complaint to Clemson. And then I'm just going to go through the story real quick. I read earlier in the live show. This was the server representing Clemson, or serving the papers to the ACC. Clemson's papers to the ACC. Unsuccessful attempt, March 19, 2024. The server spoke to the security desk. They called up to the Atlantic Coast Conference office, and then the server was told that everyone was in a meeting and to come back later. Unsuccessful attempt number 2, an hour and 18 minutes later at 1:36 p.m. on March 19th. Again, the server spoke to the security desk. They called up to the Atlantic Coast Conference. I was told the one person that could accept service was gone for the day, and I would need to come back tomorrow. Previously, the server explains, I had served the ACC without incident by arriving at the headquarters, indicating I had papers for the Atlantic Coast Conference, and a person was sent down to collect those, and I noted their name and title, and service was thereby accomplished. This time, when I tried to exact the same approach at the ACC headquarters, I was told that everyone was in meetings, but to come to a short while later, come back a while later. When I came back, I was then told that no one was there to accept the service. And then a couple hours later, 5:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the server went to a personal address. This is a secure neighborhood. I first called J. Phillips through the call box. There was no answer. Then I called L. Phillips. A female answered and then opened the gate. I arrived, but no one answered the door. There were 2 SUVs in the driveway. I returned at 5:19 p.m. I went back to the door, but there was no answer to the door. I returned at 6:20 p.m. When I called L. Phillips, no one answered, but someone did open the gate. I went to the residence, but no one came to the door. I spoke to a female through the Ring doorbell. She stated no one was home. The vehicles were still in the driveway. At 7:21 p.m., the server spoke to an older female that stated Benjamin Taro was not there, but would be back shortly. I returned at 7:39 p.m. No one answered the door. I could see the older female in the residence. I returned at 7:44 p.m. and served Benjamin Taro, the deputy commissioner of the Atlantic Coast Conference. So there is some issues back and forth between Clemson and the ACC on serving each other. Yeah. I would not want to have my name attached to that, to that idea of a super league. I'm sorry, but that's not working. Anyways, we're going to have to shut this down. I know we've only been on for an hour and a half. Wednesday nights, very difficult for me to have a live show. But we had to talk about what is going on in the court cases here. What is going on? That was the title of our show. But then the Super League being pushed by some leaders and presidents. During the show, we had to retitle this live show, but that's not happening. It's not happening. Anyway, so before you leave us, before you leave the chat, make sure you are subscribed to our channel and have your notifications on, because we're down to 3 more days. Tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday, or Monday, one of those 3 days, there's going to be a ruling in Mecklenburg County. and when it happens, we're going to be covering it live here at Peek Around the Corner. So buckle up, brace for impact. It could be a very impactful day. It could be tomorrow. It could be tomorrow morning. Who knows? So buckle up. I want to thank everybody for their generosity in with their super chats and their memberships. I want to thank everybody in the chat room and the phone calls that we got. We're all trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Is there cloak and dagger in the courts? I don't know, but look. I don't know. I think we're in. I know we've gone through a lot here, guys, in the PATC community. We've been through all the drama, but I think it's only just begun. Honestly, the chatter. Well, the last time I talked about loud chatter was March 15th, Clemson chatter. And then March 19th, they filed. The chatter is almost as high as that. Not quite, but we're getting there. So stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. Stick with us here. Subscribe. Get yourself open for a notification. We could come on a live at any time. So until next time, from all of us at PATC, College Football's Peek Around the Corner. To all of you, please, 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 you all take great care of each other. And to you, Chris Petrie, Golden Blue Dude, this episode, this live show was for you. God bless.